Florence is a city in central Italy, and the capital city of the Tuscany region. The city attracts millions of tourists each year. Florence also contains numerous museums and art galleries. The Uffizi Gallery and the Palazzo Pitti are found here. Tickets to the Uffizi and Accademia museums are regularly sold out. Large groups regularly fill the basilicas of Santa Croce and Santa Maria Novella, both of which charge for entry. In this video, Travel Eye shares with you details along with 25 best things to do in Florence, Italy. After looking at this video, you will be more than ready to book the Florence vacation you've been dreaming about. At number 25, our first stop is at the Bardini Gardens. The gardens are part of a Renaissance villa of the Bardini family. Very few people venture to see this Florence attraction. This makes it a real treasure. These curated gardens are home to phenomenal views of Florence and are famous for two main attractions. The first is a wisteria tunnel. It is best viewed during the summer bloom from April to October. The second is a long medieval staircase that carries you to one of the best views of the city. Bardini Gardens is located at Costa San Giorgio 2. Our 24th spot takes you on a 2 hours and 50 minutes bike tour from Ponte Vecchio to the Oltrarno neighborhood. With a local guide, you will pedal past famous sites like Piazza della Signoria and the Uffizi Gallery, as well as local highlights that most tourists miss. After exploring the historic center, you'll cross the river to the charming Oltrarno neighborhood for one of the city's best gelatos. This trip costs €44.85 for adult and €31.40 for child. Trip info is displayed on screen. At number 23, take a Vespa tour of the Tuscan countryside. Your trip starts in Florence. The highlight of this tour is you being taught to ride a Vespa and your visit to two of the finest Chianti wineries. Here, you'll try exquisite wines and local produce and enjoy a hearty Tuscan lunch. This adult-only tour takes 6 hours and costs €194.35. Information is displayed on screen. Coming in at 22, rub a boar's nose. Okay, there is a long backstory to rubbing the boar's nose. I cannot get into it in this video. But, I can tell you that it is a very popular fountain in Florence surrounded by superstition and good luck. Amongst locals, this is a top Florence attraction. It is located at Piazza del Mercato Nuovo. Number 21 takes you to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Construction of the tower occurred in 3 stages over 199 years. It is 55.86 meters or 183 feet and 3 inches high from the ground on the low side. On the high side, it is 56.67 meters or 185 feet. The Leaning Tower of Pisa weighs about 14,500 tons. At number 20, we make our way on a day trip to Cinque Terre. It is about 2.5 hours from Florence. Between lush, green mountains and crystal blue waters of the Mediterranean there are 5 picturesque towns. Each town has its own individual characteristics. One thing they all have is amazing views of the sea. You can easily travel between these fishing towns with a local train. Most of them are only a 10-minute ride from one to the next. To book a trip here, information is displayed on screen. At number 19, go eat and hang out in Santo Spirito. You can experience Florence's Santo Spirito district like a local via a food tour. Enjoy the authentic taste of Florence's exquisite food and wine in this lively local neighborhood. Food tour lasts 3 hours. See info on screen. Number 18. Enjoy Florence from the Arno River. Hop aboard one of 4 remaining original barchetti for a gentle cruise along the Arno River. Glide under Ponte Vecchio Bridge as you sip local wine and hear stories of the city. This tour takes 1 hour. At number 17, we make our way to the Brancacci Chapel. With a stunning fresco cycle painted by the artist Masaccio, this attraction is a must-see for art lovers. As the most influential decorative space of the 15th century, the chapel has earned the nickname Sistine Chapel of the early Renaissance. It's considered one of Italy's most beautiful chapels. The frescoes were intended to depict the life of Saint Peter from original sin to the salvation of man. There was a special focus on healing and redemption for the poor. It is located at Piazza del Carmen 14. Ticket costs €450. On Friday, Saturday and Monday the Brancacci Chapel is open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. On Sunday it's open from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. It is closed on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. At number 16, sip wine from an ancient wine door. They're a super unique thing that you'll primarily only find in Florence. Their history dates back to the 1500s, when nobles were allowed to sell their wines directly to customers without having to pay taxes or own a store. As you wander the city, keep an eye out for the many wine doors you can find in Florence. Number 15 takes us on a Tuscany safari tour from Florence. Departing from Florence, cruise through the hills, valleys, villages and vineyards of Italy's winemaking heartland in a Range Rover. Sample delicious wines, visit a stunning 13th century castle and enjoy a classic three-course Tuscan lunch. This trip takes 7 hours. Price along with other info is displayed on screen. 14. Eat pappardelle al ragu di cinghiale. Pappardelle are long thin noodles normally of an egg base. They are hearty and filling. A popular Florentine and Tuscan dish, ragu di cinghiale is made from wild boar. This is a hearty pasta dish that is full of the types of flavor that only wild game can bring. 13. Soak in the sunset in Piazzale Michelangelo. Michelangelo Square, or better known in Italian as Piazzale Michelangelo, is one of the best viewpoints in Florence. It is the most famous observation point to appreciate the panorama of the city in all its splendor. It is also an attraction that no tourist can miss on their visit to Florence. It was built in 1869 and designed by the architect Giuseppe Poggi during the urban renewal of the town. General admission is free. There are tours like the Florence Night Tour by electric bike, the City Sightseeing Florence Hop-on Hop-off bus tour and the Florence Guided Electric Bike Tour with gelato, which make stop at Michelangelo Square. More info is displayed on screen. Number 12. Devour a bistecca fiorentina. Bistecca fiorentina is an Italian steak made of young steer or heifer that, combined with a specific preparation, makes it one of the most popular dishes of Tuscan cuisine. It is a high cut including the bone, cooked on embers or on the grill. The steak is cut from the loin, just below the rib cage and above the round or rump. At number 11, try Vernaccia di San Gimignano at a Tuscan vineyard. Vernaccia is a white Italian wine made from the Vernaccia grape. It is produced in and around the Italian hill town of San Gimignano in Tuscany. In San Gimignano, the Vernaccia grapes planted in sandstone-based vineyards tend to produce the best examples of Vernaccia di San Gimignano. The wine is characteristically dry with crisp acidity and a slightly bitter finish. At number 10, we make our way to the Abbey of San Miniato al Monte. San Miniato al Monte is a basilica in Florence, central Italy. It stands atop one of the highest points in the city. It has been described as one of the finest Romanesque structures in Tuscany and one of the most scenic churches in Italy. Construction started in the year 1013. It was opened in 1018. The Abbey of San Miniato al Monte in Florence was built to house the relics of Saint Miniato, the first Florentine proto-martyr. General admission is free. Opening hours and address is displayed on screen. Number 9. Walk through the Garden of the Iris. You can only admire its full beauty from 25 April to 20th of May. Located between the corner of Viale dei Colli and Piazzale Michelangelo and the Podere dei Bastiani, the Iris Garden covers an area of about 2.5 hectares or 6.17 acres. It offers a spectacular view of the city and the famous Florentine Square. Number 8 may be daring to some folks. Try Lampredato and Tripa. You can't say you've been to Florence if you don't stop by one of its famous chioschi or street food stands. Tripa or Lampredato are organ meat or offal. Tripa is tripe. It is the edible lining of the cow's stomach. While tripe is eaten elsewhere, Lampredato is a local specialty for Florence. It is the fourth and final stomach of a cow. It is slow cooked with tomato, onion, parsley, and celery until it has the texture of tender roast beef. Both are traditionally served on a crunchy bun, often first soaked in the broth and spicy or green sauce. Number 7. Visit the Giardino del Rose. The Giardino del Rose is a public art garden between the San Niccolò district and Piazzale Michelangelo. Inside the garden you can find a little lake with magnolias, different kinds of roses and a Japanese garden. Here you will see Jean-Michel Folon's sculptures. It is a great place from which you can see Florence and her red sunset. The Giardino del Rose is open from 8 a.m. to sunset daily. There is no charge for entry. 6. Dine at Mercato Centrale. This indoor market is a great place to stop for one of the best culinary experiences in Florence. From pickled olives, to freshest fruits and veggies, to cheeses, breads, oils, wines and meats, you can find almost anything here. The market is also a wonderful place to buy leather goods, clothes and some authentic Italian souvenirs. The food options are absolutely amazing. It is located at Piazza del Mercato Centrale, Via dell'Oriento. Number 5. See the Duomo and climb Brunelleschi's Dome. Nicknamed the Duomo, Florence Cathedral is the most prominent, and popular, landmark in Florence. The word Duomo is a nickname for a cathedral, combining Latin words that translate as House of God. The Duomo was built over 172 years, beginning in 1296. It's also called the Cathedral of Santa Maria della Fiore, or Saint Mary of the Flowers. The main portal has over-the-top Gothic decoration with Mary, saints, popes and trumpeters. On both sides of the bronze doors and tabernacles are statues of the Florence's patron saints, Saint Reparata on the left and Saint Zenobius on the right. Filippo Brunelleschi's magnificent terracotta-colored dome was built from 1420 to 1436. This dome is the highlight of the Florence Cathedral. With 4 million bricks, Brunelleschi's dome is the largest brick dome ever built. The only way to the top is to climb 463 stairs. Here is a Brunelleschi's dome tip. It's very tight. The narrow twisting corridor gets clogged. It can be hot, stuffy and potentially claustrophobic. If you're doing the dome climb in the summer, it will be stifling. For tickets, I personally recommend the Brunelleschi Pass. This pass gives access to the dome, bell tower, museum, baptistry, and Santa Reparata. Prices and more info are displayed on screen. The dome climb is only possible with an advance reservation and ticket. You can book a time slot when you purchase your combination ticket online. Dome climb time slots can fill up weeks in advance in high season, so reserve well ahead. Once you've made the reservation, you can't change it. Show up 20 to 30 minutes early. If you are more than 5 minutes late for your designated time, you won't be let in. Please note that entrance to the Duomo itself is free. But, without the pass, you will encounter long lines. Pro tip: the baptistry dome mosaic is currently undergoing a multi-year restoration. But you can still pop in and see the process. Here is a dress code tip for going to the Duomo. Because there are religious sites, you must dress conservatively. Do not wear sleeveless tops or short skirts above the knee. Number 4. Stand before the gates of paradise. The bronze doors. You'll find the famous baptistry doors of Florence at the Baptistry of St. John in Florence, which is directly in front of the Florence Cathedral. It's so close to the cathedral and has such a similar design that it appears to be the same structure. However, it is an independent church considered to be a minor basilica. The structure is one of the oldest in Florence, dating back to the late 11th century. Michelangelo described the doors as the gates of paradise, which is how the doors are known today. Number 3. Walk across Ponte Vecchio. Built very close to the Roman crossing, the Ponte Vecchio, or Old Bridge, was the only bridge across the Arno in Florence until 1218. The current bridge was rebuilt after a flood in 1345. During World War II, it was the only bridge across the Arno that the Germans did not destroy. There have been shops on Ponte Vecchio since the 13th century. Today, Ponte Vecchio is known for its teeming shops, including many jewelers, art sellers and antique boutiques. Number 2. Explore Italy's most famous museum. Uffizi Gallery. The Uffizi Gallery is Florence's premier art gallery and houses one of the greatest collections of Italian Renaissance artwork on earth. It was built in the 16th century as an office building for the Medici. The name Uffizi translates to offices, which was its original purpose. The structure, designed by Giorgio Vasari, was completed in 1581. Formally declared a museum, It was opened to the public in 1865. 4 million visitors enter the Uffizi each year, which makes it the most ticketed attraction in Florence. What makes this gallery so popular is the fact that Florence birthed the Renaissance and much of that artwork is in the Uffizi Gallery. Today, you can see some of the world's greatest artworks including The Birth of Venus and La Primavera by Sandro Botticelli. This is an absolute must for visitors to Florence. A guided tour is recommended but not required. It is located at Piazzale degli Uffizi, 6. Opening hours are Tuesday to Sunday 8:15 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. The Uffizi Gallery is closed on Mondays and Labor Day. Ticket information is displayed in detail on screen. Number 1. See the greatest sculpture on Earth. Known officially as Galleria dell'Accademia di Firenze, the Accademia is a small art museum with Michelangelo's David as its focal point. Michelangelo sculpted David from a block of marble abandoned by other artists who described it as unusable. Michelangelo was not only able to work with it but sculpted what is arguably his masterpiece. You can also see 4 unfinished statues by Michelangelo, which sort of frame the corridor that leads up to David. There are works by other great artists, including Sandro Botticelli, Domenico Ghirlandaio, Pontormo, Andrea del Sarto, Alessandro Alleri, and Orcagna, to name just a few of the painters. Getting tickets to the Accademia is very difficult. Information is displayed on the screen.